Hello and welcome to this tutorial on the use of Astrometrica. As you saw in a previous tutorial, we'd gone through the configuration of this. I've already actually got it open here at the minute, but I'm going to load it from scratch so you can see, because there's a few things to mention here. I've just double clicked on the icon again after closing it down, and the first thing you'll see is it's actually updating the system. That could take a bit of time, so if you wanted to pop off and get yourself a cup of coffee while it's doing that, then feel free to do so. Not now, because I'm going to walk you through another couple of things. What we need to do and to set the stage for ourselves here to make life a bit easier, and while it's doing that, I'll briefly show you. You need to go to where you've got Astrometrica installed. It's usually on your local hard drive there, C drive Astrometrica. We're interested in data, and what I've done is I've extracted each of the files out of here for analysis. Now normally you'd only be given one set, but I've put them all in. What happens is, as you can see, we've done it before and it's generated this report. You're going to see something similar to that after the set we go through. So let me just double check something here first. Oh yeah, crumbs. Set 4 I'm going to be going through again, then that's fine. Don't save. Now these are files, especially this one here. This is the main one that we need to be concentrating on, and this will come clear to you towards the end of the tutorial. What we're going to be doing in effect is hunting for asteroids. We're hunting for unknown asteroids which have appeared in photographs that Pan-STARRS has taken, and it's going to be a bit of a learning curve because some of these objects are already known, and what we're looking for are the slightly fainter ones which wouldn't necessarily be known. So the point of this is with a bit of skill and a keen eye. This isn't something to do if you're recovering from the night before. This is something to do when you're still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I don't recommend taking too long to do it either. I mean, you can see now we've got the splash screen that's loading up there, so it gives you an idea of how long it takes to load up. We're going to do what we call a manual search. Yes, I'm going to replace the existing files. Before I click that, let me explain. If you're working on just for argument's sake, if you're working on a set of files, say if you pick on that set 2, then you close it down, go away and do something with the intention of coming back, then do not reset the files, because you'll undo all the previous work you've done. It does delete off the previous MPC report. However, if you're going from that set to that set, then resetting is what you need to do. So then we'll click on yes to replace the files. And then obviously if you're going to do another set of files after, you don't have to shut the application down and start up again. There is a way of resetting the files once you've done, but I'll show you that at the end of the tutorial. Right, once we've done that, we can then go into File, Load Images, because you've already would have configured this from a previous tutorial anyway. I'm going to go to set 4 because I've been playing around with that one. And I'm going to select all those. Just by, if you're not so sure, click on the first one, shift and downward arrow, hold down the shift key and downward arrow to select all the other ones. Then click on open, and there they all are. And I know it's the correct one because there's a space rocket in it. I call it a space rocket, but it isn't. It's an artifact on one of the chips there that Dr. Miller assures me. So what we're going to be doing now is we need to run a brief astrometric data reduction on that. So I'm going to click on that icon there. Click on OK, and off we run. So that's now extracting all those objects. To give you a brief idea, we've got 4 snapshots of what should be the same region of the sky. And what we're interested in is anything that's making a little journey through that sky. And that's what Astrometrica is going to be demonstrating for us. The first thing to understand is, yes, there will be objects in this moving through, but we already know about them, so we don't need to worry. There's a few things we've got to do with known objects, which is a bit of a monotonous task, but it does get fun once we've done that. And then we can go through the process of searching through the images for anything new. These are all the errors that are apparently in the files as I'm given to understand it. So what we're going to do now we've done that is we need to go for Tools and Known Object Overlay, or click on that icon there. And I've done it again, haven't I? I meant to show you as well how to invert the image that way. No matter, I can briefly do that for you just as soon as this is completed. Let me grab a quick drink of water. Excuse me. Your throat does get dry when you've done this a couple of times. What I have been asked to point out is this icon here. When you first run this, you're going to get the black background with the stars, as you'd expect, so black background to white objects. You can inverse that if you want to right here, so that makes it easier, to a negative sort of format. So whichever is your preference, but many people prefer to be working like that. Sorry. So we now need to blink or go for the non-object overlay. We've done it. I've forgotten myself there. This is what happens when you backtrack. Thank you, guys. We need to blink the images, which we can do from either tools and blink images, or we can do it from here. And then what this is doing is it's running through each of the 4 images in turn, and you can see now we've got a couple of objects that are there. So what we need to do is firstly advise astrometria of these 3 that are there, and what we need to do that is we can zoom in, we can click on the magnification, and then I'm going to go through and quickly do this. We have to do it for each of the objects that's already there. So what we do, and it's a good time now to talk you through the controls of blinking. We can stop the blinking like so, and as you can see, everything's now come to a stationary standstill. We can step backwards through the sequence, and as you can see, the objects are moving, and we can go forwards, just like the gears of the car. We're finished, we can play it again. Now what we're going to do briefly, and it's a good exercise for you to see this, is to go through the known objects, which you can see with little red squares and a designate next to them. So I'm going to click, what I'm going to do to make it easy is take it all the way as far back as I can. Otherwise you lose yourself. We know we're doing it 4 times anyway for each frame that we've got. It has to be done for each frame. So we click on it, and there it is. And this is an example of how the object we choose should be, basically. So let's just move this over slightly. So you can see from here that we've got a nice tight pack around the Gaussian curve, which is what we want, and a nice tight pack around there. Signal to noise ratio needs to be over 5. We've got 20.7, so we're quite safe there. And the R value is 18.6. Not so sure where the 19.2 comes from there, but we're interested in the magnitude. Anything too bright is going to already be known, so we need to pick things that are reasonably faint. The exact lower limit of that I'm going to have to double check with you. I'm not so sure off the top of my head what that is. What we need to do, if this would apply if it was a new object as well, click on the object designation. So click on that icon there with the 3 dots in it, that square box, and that pulls up a series of objects, and we can see U27242 matches up here, U2742, RA of 0, DE of 0. So we're looking for objects that are within the vicinity, and there's quite a few close to that point, but this is the closest one. It does merit, as you'd expect, so we're going to click on OK for that, but we're going to reject it because it's a known object. We're only going to accept unknown objects here, so we're going to reject that. And this is where the monotony is, unfortunately. It does get more fun, but we now need to do that for each frame, and yes, for each object. So this might be where you want to go and do it, and then refresh yourself and then come back. So much the same as before, and why I'm not going to do this all the way through the video for you. I will pause it to go and put myself through that before coming back to do the fun stuff. So OK again, and then reject, and then we do it again for the next frame. Again, I have to confirm what the magnitude should be. I believe it's the R19.4, but apart from that, I think everything else is about spot on here with the process. Not a big thing to update if I need to, but you get the general idea of what we're doing from here. Reject. I think I've got about twice more to do it. I might have lost count. I know I'm going down. This is why I reset myself and put it straight to the top, just in case I get distracted or something. Okay, and reject. And that was the final time. So I'd lost count because I was talking into this, but because I'd reset it all the way to the top, that had already been keeping account for me. Now please excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, while I repeat that process for the other 2 objects you've seen. Be back with you shortly. Hello, welcome back. There we go, that's that fun part done. Now we've actually done that, we can begin the business of actually looking for some actual objects. I thought rather than sort of go through the set with you, which we can do later, I've actually found one that we can focus on. And if I press play again to blink it, you can see I've actually got something down there, if you see. So what we're going to do is I'm going to magnify in on that. You can zoom in and zoom out up here, by the way, I'm sure you already saw that. What I'm going to do is go across to that frame on the far left hand side now and focus on this. Now there's an object there, and as you can see it is moving. It's got a straight pathway going through. It looks pretty faint as well, so I'm quite interested in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flag to Miller in the report as a possible. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pause it, and same process as before, pull it all the way up like so. So I've gone all the way through the stages, clicking on backward, going for each sequential image until I put it up, and there it now is. And you can see that this has got nothing around it. I should have mentioned before, if there's any red squares with nothing in them, don't worry about those. So I'm now going to click on that, and there is our object. It's got a reasonable pack around the Gaussian curve as we've seen before, and down here as well. Signal to noise ratio bit low, but it's above 5, so tally ho, I'm going to run with that anyway. And then we need to go for object, sorry about that noise, that was Facebook, object designation. So I'm going to click on that as you saw previously, and what we're doing here is we're looking for any objects which are in the neighbourhood. Is there anything else it could possibly be? Now my only concern with this is that's quite close to where we'd expect to find U7242, so there's a possibility we've found that object, but I don't know. 0.9 degrees, 1 degree off, it's not very far at all. Could possibly be that object, but for the purposes of the tutorial, because I'm not so sure, that they can verify that further down the road anyway. But if it was RA of 0 and DE of 0, I'm probably going to say okay, that's U7242, and then just accept that. But I don't know that for sure, but that is pretty close. But for the purposes of the tutorial, I'm going to click on OK to that, and I'm also going to go for accept. So I'm saying that I'm believing that is a possible object, and again we have to do that for each of the 4 frames. So step backwards, and it's moving pretty fast, this one, and there it is again. That's a bit off kilter. Signal to noise ratio is still acceptable at 6. In fact, what have I done? Crumbs, back. Oh dear, cardinal sin. Let's go back in. Right, OAS005. That's what I've forgotten to do. I forgot to give it the designation, so I've put it straight back. I've put in OAS005. These will be your designation numbers that you'll be assigned, that you can use if you find new objects. I forgot to put that in. It needs to have a designation that will appear in the report, and I've obviously sidetracked myself and forgot to put that in. So with that in, now we click on accept. We should better see that line in the final NPC report if it's entered it, so we can at least take that line out. It won't have that designation beside it. Click on back, but ignore that last thing I just did. So there it is, it's moved again. Pull it back up. There we are. That's a bit of a mess, but I think it's probably because the object's moving fast. OAS005, accept, and then we go again, and then we do the same thing. OAS005, accept. That's just within the signal to noise ratio, and that doesn't look very good there, but we've seen it's a pretty good object. It's just moving fast, and we'll accept that. And I think if we do it again, it's gone off kilter now, so there we are. If it's gone off the frame, then obviously we can't do it a 4th time, but we've done it for the 3 times anyway that we were able to. But again, like I said, it's important to put the designation in, so please ignore the first time there. So let's have a look and see what else we've got. Have we got anything else? And to do that, let's put the blinking back on. There we go. So with the blinking back on, I'm obviously not with it today. I know what it is. I've re-recorded this a couple of times over to get it right. And what you want to do is very carefully go through the rest of the images. I've already been through them and I couldn't see anything else. In fact, I was taking a look after doing a known object designates to see if I could see anything we could flash straight to. But what we're doing now is we're going through each instance, and as you can see, they're divided up by these grey square panels to make it easy to divide up by eye. You can search by sectors. If you see anything bright moving through, don't worry about it, because if it's that bright we already probably know it's there anyway. It's the fainter objects we're interested in. And we're just literally going to go through pane upon pane. You're probably screaming at me here saying, Alistair, you're missing one there, or you're missing one here. I'm as new to this as everybody else, so I'll be screaming at myself in a year's time when I review this, thinking, how stupid must I be or blind to have missed this? I thought I'd found a UFO there, but it's not. It looks like a rocket, but it's a dead artifact on the pixels, so we ignore that. And I don't see much else on here. I did look before when I found that other object for you, but I'm not finding much more here now. So You really want some tunes when you're doing this. You really want some tunes on. There's the known object there you've seen before. See how bright that is. So anything that bright we probably were interested in. We're interested in something faint. Something about that magnitude flying through. Needs to be in a straight line too. And I'm really not seeing much more. I'm looking pretty much in. I mean, something flacking around here, but I can't see enough to get a dead line on it because it's disappearing behind these panes in both cases. But it's too bright, and I think if we did flag it up, they'd say stop wasting our time. We know about it. Thank you anyway. But I think all we've really got at the minute is just that object down there that we spotted earlier. So that is it, I think, for this frame. I mean, you could probably zoom in further and see if you can see anything, and that'll pick up anything much fainter, but of course it becomes difficult then to pan through. So let's just do a couple of frames like that, and then we'll get on with how to sort out the report. Yeah, this is where you need to have. So there's something potentially there, but I'm not going to worry about that. I think it's just an artifact. Yeah, I mean, I think getting in this low, this is probably scraping at the bottom of the barrel. I really don't see anything else here now. I'm sure I'm being screamed at. But I'm reasonably new to this myself, so yeah, I did spot that earlier on, but again, I don't really trust that. That looks like an artifact or something. I'm probably going through this way too fast now anyway for people's liking, but I'm scanning it as I'm going, and also mindful it's a tutorial, so not actually a live searching session. So I'm going to probably leave that there and stop, and then go and see what we've generated from earlier on. So hopefully I've got a data file open. There it is, and this is what we've been working on, npc report.txt. So if you open that up, this is the mistake I made earlier on, I believe. So I'm going to take that line out. This is where I didn't put in the OAS 005. What it's done is it's put the next designate in, but I'm going to take that line. It could well be the case that that is correct, so I'm going to take that line out. Now that would be pretty much the report you would send on to whoever's collating the information for you, but there's one more thing we need to consider before we do that, and that is we're looking at the minute at set number 4. So yeah, set 4. And what we need to do before we basically proceed and put that through is we need to make a note that that is set number 4, because otherwise Dr. Miller, when he receives the report, isn't going to know. So we need to open that up, and then we need to go just I've actually done it here, but as you can see, let me just close that down. Don't save. There we are. Open that up. So I'm going to take that line out there again. That was from when I didn't put in the designation. It could well be that object, but I'd rather they confirm that than I. And then paste in the image set that it is. So when Dr. Miller comes and gets the report, he now knows that's the data set and these are what you think you found in them. So at least he now knows the data set. If you don't put that in, there's nothing to tell him where those images have come from. And then what you can do is, if you're working through several sets, as you can see that we have been here, you can just simply literally, whoop, I'm getting myself confused. Let's close down some of these windows. That can shut down. I don't mind doing it again just to have a few less windows open. What it is I've re-recorded this a couple of times for you, and I've got myself confused. So I'm going to shut a few of these windows down and then show you exactly what needs to be done. So there's the NPC report that we've been working on. So whatever we've been doing has been populating in here. You can see it's been mirrored in each time we've clicked on accept on that object and put our designating of OAS 0005. It's entered in a line. This is the first mistake I made there, so I'm taking that out. And what we need to do is we need to put in the set of images that it actually is, which we copied from before, that folder name as we saw earlier on. So now what we've got is we've got the basics of the set where it's come from. Here's the measurer, Peter Gow of the Online Astronomy Society. That's the telescope being used, and this is what we're basically doing. So this is the image set that we've been looking at, and this is the object we've found. If there's more than one object in there, you'd have more than one listed there. So in that way you can update it. Now if you're doing more than one set, then what you're going to need to do is have a master one open, a bit like this. Now as you can see here, there's a fair few in here, but I'm going to demonstrate let's clarify a bit. Let's just delete that out. I mean, I can't really use this in the mix, the data sets aren't in there. That was a mistake we've made from our learning curve. So what I'm going to do basically is put that in, or let's just undo that so don't take out the end part. So say for argument's sake that there we are, that this is our master we've been working on. What you're going to need to do, if this were the master, all you'd have to do is copy everything in here. So you copy everything that's in the NPC report, you come down and simply paste it in, and that's your one data set. Then you come down and do the next and do the next and do the next. If you're going through each of these, each one of these would have its own NPC file. Once you finish your copy, you open it up, put the data set file in there, the name in there, as we said, this name down here goes in there underneath the next ppm excel entry, and then keep copying them down and then email that off to your group collator. In our case it's Peter Gow, and then that way at least he can then collate that and send it off to Dr. Miller for scientific analysis. Very important that you put the set of files that we've used in there, otherwise Dr. Gow's not going to know where you've got that from. So that's the main thing. Now once you've done, great, but the only thing I will say here is, good practice is copy that file now and place it into, well, we'll dump that out, this one we did before, but that's not going to be accurate now. I'm going to paste that in, put it in safely out of the way, because what we're going to do next is we're now going to close that down. We're going to close all these off, because if we wanted to do another set of files, we now have to reset. So we go to File and then Reset Files, and then click on Yes, and then if we come back you can see what that's done. It's deleted off the NPC report file. Now if you did that before we copied it, there's no going back. You have to go back and do the process again. But what we've done in this case is we've set the stage where if we want to go in and process set number 5, if we're doing more than one set, we can now do so. So it's important to make sure that if you're going to do more than one set, that you reset the files the way we have done. So that way you can then go in, load up the next set of files and continue as before. And then once you've done that, it won't do it just yet, but another NPC report file will then be put in, and so the thing continues. And remember as well, you can invert as you'd like to. And don't forget as well that you use the magnifying glasses to zoom in and out of the blinking image when you have it. This is what we call a manual search for asteroids, so it's relying on you finding these moving rather than the computer. Chances are the computer will find a whole lot more than you will. Problem is, it's a lot of data and it crashes an awful lot of computers. In fact, my laptop here can't handle it. So that's pretty much it in terms of how to find any moving objects. And once you've literally found that, what a lot of people tend to do, if you're working on more than one set, and that is send individual NPC reports off to the collator. But I mean, if you want to make his life a bit easier, you can compile them into one report if you've done more than one set, and what he'll probably do is email each of those reports you've sent off to Dr. Miller for his analysis. And that is pretty much what we need. So I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope that's been informative for you, and I hope it makes things a little easier for you to understand. Many thanks.